Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and is feeling well. If anyone needs a refuah shlema, we hope you have one quickly. And we also hope that everyone is staying safe and staying warm and enjoying the snow day today. In the beginning of this week's parsha, Hashem explains to Moshe the point of all of this entire story of Yetzias Mitzrayim, of the plagues. He tells him, why am I doing all this? Hashem could have just plucked the Jews out. I've hardened his Paro's heart and the heart of his servants, Hashem says. So I can place my signs in their midst. Ulaman, and in order. Tisaper ba'aznei bincha uben mincha, so that you Moshe, you the Jewish people, will tell over this story into the ears of your children and your children's children. How I made a mockery of Egypt and placed my signs amongst them, vidatem ki ani Hashem, so that you shall know that I am the Lord, I am Hashem. The point of all this story is Laman tisaper ba'aznei bincha uben mincha, to relate, to tell the story over into the ears of your children and your children's children. It's an interesting phrase, to tell it into their ears. Could have obviously just said Laman tisaper libincha, to tell your children. Lahagid lahem, what does it mean to tell into their ears? Now the truth is, this is a phrase in the Torah. For example, after the battle of Amalek, Moshe tells Hashem tells Moshe to tell Yehoshua, Ksov zo zikaron sefer, write this book down, remember it, visim ba'aznei Yehoshua, and place it into the ears of Yehoshua. It's a phrase in the Torah which means more than just tell. It means repeat, make sure the person understands, make sure it really goes in deep into their ears. And so too here, the Torah is saying, Yetzias Mitzrayim is not just something that Jewish children should learn, one point of Jewish history, but it should be related to them over and over. It should really penetrate into their being, Laman tisaper ba'aznei bincha, into their ears, the ears of your children, into the ears of your children's children. What is so important? There are obviously many foundational ideas, but I'd like to focus on one. What? Yetzias Mitzrayim, and believing in it and knowing it and feeling that we are the people that were taken out of Egypt. How does that affect us? How does that change the way I see the world and live my life? But let us come from another angle. The Torah, although it did not desire slavery, the Torah does afford of that possibility. And specifically when it comes to a Jewish slave or a Jewish servant, the Torah says that after 6 years, the Jewish slave goes free. However, if the slave will want to remain, he is allowed to. The Torah doesn't want it, but if someone wants to be a slave, the Torah does not forbid it. And there's an entire process, and he stands by the door, and the master bangs a nail through his ear to make a mark. V'ratza adonav es azno. And the master shall pierce his ear. It's a mark of slavery. It's a mark of shame that he wants to remain a slave. But Chazal assumed there's something more to it. Why specifically the ear? Why is the ear marked for someone who chooses to remain a slave? Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai would expound this verse like a jewel, the Gemara says. Why is the ear different from all other limbs that Hashem says to pierce it? He says, Ozen sheshama, kol al Har Sinai, the ear, his ear is not working. He didn't hear something. Where did the Jewish people hear? Well, at Har Sinai. He did not hear what Hashem said at Har Sinai. Shamarti, that I, Hashem, told them, Kili b'nei Yisrael avadim, you are my servants. Servants to Hashem, v'lo avadim la'avadim, but not servants to other servants. Chazal understand that there's something very profoundly religiously problematic. If someone is a servant to another human being, she cannot be fully a servant to Hashem, cannot be an Eved Hashem. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai connects the symbolism of the ear to the hearing at Har Sinai. But perhaps also behind that drasha, there are always many connections in the teachings of our sages that they do not always reveal to us. Perhaps also what inspired that drasha is our pasuk, that Yetzias Mitzrayim, all of the plagues, was in order so that Laman tisaper ba'aznei bincha ben mincha, so that Yetzias Mitzrayim should be in the ears, ringing in the ears of our children and their children's children. And this person who wants to give up his freedom to become a slave of another human being like we were to Paro. Apparently his ear did not receive the message, and so his ear is pierced. One of the basic messages of the entire story of Yetzias Mitzrayim is that of freedom. That the Jewish people, but every human being, spiritually, morally, has the right to freedom. Freedom against slavery. And it was the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim that inspired movements for freedom, in the context of slavery in America and other places. But even a deeper way of spiritual, moral freedom, that every person is free, that I am free. I'm free to choose, to act, to react to my surroundings. I'm free within myself. I'm free to change. Just like Hashem liberated us from Yetzias Mitzrayim, there's nothing to which I am enslaved. There's nothing to which, with Hashem's help, that I can't overcome. Chazal and the Torah taught the world this foundational idea of freedom, of liberty, of every human being deserves that, and every human being has the responsibility, has that power, that they are free. Chazal understood that there's a contradiction between anything that limits the freedom, the inherent freedom and liberty of a human being to be a full Eved Hashem. To be human means to be free, and in that freedom, to serve Hashem. There's something incredibly powerful and inspiring about that there is nothing that can enslave us. There's nothing that can imprison us. Whatever we are struggling with, we can't overcome with, of course, with Hashem's help. And that too is one of the most important ideas that the Torah and our tradition gave to the world, especially taught through the stories of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the parshas that we are learning right now, the parshas of freedom. Good Shabbos and Shabbat Shalom.